Hello students, in this video we will be discussing about the wrist complex and hand. This is a part 1 video, so basically we will be talking about wrist complex in this video. Before starting, we should go through the overview of wrist and hand complex. The wrist and hand consist of 27 bones. We have 8 carpal bones, and then we have 5 metacarpal bones, and we have 14 phalanges. All these are phalanges. So total we have 27 bones in wrist and hand. In the wrist complex we have 2 compound joints, radiocarpal joint and midcarpal joint. Radiocarpal joint, it consists of triangular fibrocartilaginous complex, which consists of radius and radioulnar disc proximally. So in the proximal row we have triangular fibrocartilaginous complex that is formed somewhere here, and in the distal row we have scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum. The capsule of the radiocarpal joint, it is loose and is reinforced by the capsular and intercapsular ligaments. Most of the ligaments and muscles crossing the radiocarpal joint, they also contribute to the midcarpal joint stability. So we'll discuss the ligaments of wrist complex all together later, after discussing about the overview of anatomy of midcarpal joint also. So the length of the radius on radial side is 12 millimeter larger than that of ulnar side. On the ulnar side the length of the radius is smaller, and on the radial side, that is towards your thumb, the length is 12 millimeter larger. So there is a 23-degree inclination of radius. Also that radius, it tilts 11 degree volarly. So in the midcarpal joint, it is composed of scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum. Scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum were present in the distal row in radiocarpal joint, and in midcarpal joint it is present proximally. And then we have trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. It is in the distal row. The wrist complex, it has 2 types of ligaments. The ligaments are divided into 2 categories, that are extrinsic and intrinsic ligaments. Extrinsic means that are present externally, they are making a external connection. They connect the carpals to the radius or ulna proximally, and metacarpals distally. So proximally they are connecting the carpals to the radius and ulna, whereas distally they are connecting the carpals into to the metacarpal bones. And the intrinsic ligaments are those that interconnects the carpals with each other. They are also called as interosseous or intercarpal ligaments. The extrinsic and intrinsic ligaments, they are present on the dorsal and volar aspects of wrist complex. The volar carpal ligaments, ligaments that are present on the volar aspect of wrist complex, it is further divided into 2 groups, that are the radiocarpal and ulnar carpal ligaments. So talking about the extrinsic ligaments, we have volar carpal ligaments, that are radial collateral ligament, radioscaphocapitate ligament. It acts as a primary stabilizer for the wrist. Long radiolunate ligament, it also called as radiolunotriquetral or volar radiolunate ligament. And we have radioscapholunate ligament. That is not a true ligament, and it does not add any mechanical strength for the wrist complex. We have short radiolunate ligament that stabilizes the lunate bone, and we have the volar ulnocarpal ligaments, including ulnotriquetral ligament, ulnolunate ligament and ulnocapitate ligament. And the dorsal ligament includes radiotriquetral ligament and dorsal intercarpal ligaments. In the intrinsic ligaments, we have the proximal lobe consisting of scapholunate ligament. It is a primary stabilizer of scapholunate joint. It has three components: dorsal, volar and proximal component. And we have lunotriquetral ligament, also composed of three same components. And in the distal row we have trapezoid ligament, trapeziocapitate ligament, capitohemate ligament. Palmar mid-carpal row, it includes scaphocapitate ligament, triquetral capitate ligament, triquetral hemate ligament, scaphotrapeziotrapezoid ligament. Intrinsic ligaments could be understood through the name only. Like the ligaments are present between the two or three carpal bones that are connecting the carpal bones and providing the stability to the carpal bones, and keeping them joined together at their respective places. And the extrinsic ligament, they are also providing the stability during the movement. Basic function of the ligaments at the wrist complex is the stability. As the wrist complex is composed of compound joints, so keeping the bones set all together is itself a difficult task. So there is a large number of ligaments that are present to provide the stability during the movement, and even are helpful in keeping the bones connected together at the respective place. Now talking about the movements of the wrist joint, basically it has 2 degrees of freedom, that is the flexion and extension movements are present, and radial and ulnar deviation are present at the wrist joint. Some may include supination and pronation also as a part of wrist motions at the wrist, but that is not truly a motion at the wrist joint. That is basically the movement of at the proximal and distal radioulnar joints. So we will include flexion and extension, radial and ulnar deviation as the part of the wrist movements. So this is the flexion at the wrist joint, and this is the extension at the wrist joint, with the range of motion as about 65 degree of normal flexion, whereas 10 degree of functional flexion present at the wrist joint, and there is a 55 degree of extension and 35 degree of functional extension present at the wrist joint. 40% of the flexion is occurring at the radiocarpal joint, whereas 60% occurring at the midcarpal joint. And in extension, 66% of the movement is occurring at the radiocarpal joint, whereas 33% of midcarpal movement is there. In proximal carpal bones, during the wrist flexion and extension, scaphoid has the greatest motion, whereas lunate moves the least. The movements at the like from complete flexion to complete extension, it varies in like 3 phases. First, the distal carpal row, that is the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hemate, they moves over the scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum, that is the proximal carpal row. And in the next phase, the scaphoid along with the distal carpal row, it moves over the lunate and triquetrum, and at the end the carpal as a unit, it moves over the radius and triangular fibrocartilaginous complex. The next movement is the radial deviation and ulnar deviation at the wrist joint. With the radial deviation, there is a 15 degree of motion, normal motion, and 10 degree of functional movement at the radial deviation. The 90% of the radial deviation is occurring at the mid-carpal joint. In ulnar deviation, the 35 degree is the normal and 15 degree of functional ulnar deviation is there. The movement is occurring 50-50 in the radiocarpal and mid-carpal joint. In radial and ulnar deviation, the carpal bones, they slides ulnarly over radius like this. If the radial deviation will occur at the wrist joint, the carpal bones, they will slide towards the ulna. This side, the carpal bones will slide, and the metacarpals and the phalanges, they will move towards the radius bone. And the same occurs vice versa. Like if the ulnar deviation will be there, then the carpal bones, they will move they will slide radially over the radius, and in full radial deviation, both the radiocarpal and midcarpal joint, they are in close peg position. The muscles of the wrist consist of flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicis longus, and pronator quadratus. And in the extensor group, it has extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, extensor indicis, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus, abductor pollicis longus, and extensor carpi ulnaris. So this was all about the part 1 video of wrist complex. In the next video, we will discuss more about the hand and the prehension and other biomechanical aspects of wrist and hand complex. For any queries, feel free to text me. Thank you.